For more on the future of TikTok, I'm joined by Seth Schachner. Seth is the Managing Director of Digital Entertainment and Artificial Intelligence at business consultancy firm Strat Americas. Welcome back to the show.
Good afternoon. Good to be with you, Michelle.
Now, obviously, a lot's happened since the last time we spoke about this company. So talk about the main concerns now about TikTok and what they're based on.
A lot has happened since I was last here. I mean, the two big concerns right now fall into the areas of data privacy and moderation and censorship. You know, on the data and privacy side, I think you know, there's been quite a bit of concern, you know, reported here in the U.S. just about the parent company ByteDance and you know, what data on TikTok users can be shared back with the parent, basically, even though they've taken quite a bit of steps to sort of separate themselves. I think from a, you know, a national security perspective, there's been quite a bit of attention on that. The other piece has just been, given the turbulence in the world lately, there has been some reports just about content moderation. You know, and is there any type of censorship or moderation going on, not just with user profiles, but with sharing of information? So those have been kind of the near-term considerations that have come up around it. I think have had some role in sparking these inquiries that you've just mentioned.
So then how involved are the Chinese parent companies at this point, and how have they been responding to this criticism about data and privacy and moderation?
Well, you know, it's fair to say that the parent, ByteDance, has you know, has taken really extensive steps to sort of internationalize TikTok. They've hired a very prominent former Disney streaming executive here, Kevin Mayer, and they've been building staff in the U.S. and other countries as well, really aggressively, everything from marketing to business development to engineering types for sure. And as your team just previously mentioned, they have gone out publicly and stated, you know, that U.S. data is hosted here. I believe it's in Virginia as well as backed up in Singapore. Although that isn't really such a straightforward thing if you really look at just there's probably some shared resources in terms of the engineering teams here as well as in China with some of the native apps there. So I don't really know how straightforward that is, but they've really made, I think, steps to try to internationalize the organization. They've withdrawn from Hong Kong, and they've issued some reports they call transparency reports showing that no data was asked, you know, from the Chinese government for it. So,
right.
I think there's been some public steps to try and disentangle or you know, devolve, if you will.
Now, that doesn't seem to have eased the concerns from the U.S. side. We've seen the U.S. government making some moves against the app. Talk about some of the moves so far and any possible additional action, for example, a full-out ban.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's probably two really things that there's a bunch of options that, you know, have been kicked about publicly that are in the toolkit, if you will, that I think the administration could use. Probably the most serious option is something called deplatforming, where, you know, they could potentially force the app to be removed from the Google Play as well as the Apple iOS stores, and that would, you know, that would cut off support for the app, and that would be a very seriously damaging move, I think, just for it going forward. Consumers could still get it or sideload it, but it would be a very damaging thing to do. And then, you know, as mentioned in our Congress, CFIUS, which reviews foreign investment activity in the United States, has started this inquiry actually late last year. It was started around Musical.ly, which was, you know, one of the basically the basis for TikTok. It was a music app with music consumption, video sharing, and I guess potentially, I mean, at the extreme end, they could ask for that to be divested or forcibly removed. They could restructure the relationship with the parent, ByteDance, and TikTok, or tighten up some data standards as well.
Right.
So those are probably the two things. There's some smaller steps, something called the Entity List, which is an imperfect tool, and you know, Musical.ly has been looked at for COPA violations, our Children's Privacy Act, but the two big ones are probably, you know, the CFIUS review as well as deplatforming, and those are both really serious.
Now, I want to look at the international users because obviously India has now banned TikTok, but it was the biggest market with over 119 million active daily users, followed by the US at almost 40 million users. And according to AppTrace, of the 141 countries that TikTok is available in, it's in the top 25 across the board in one of these most popular apps. How are these other countries managing their relationship with TikTok, and what do you see the future looking like?
Well, I think India is probably the most current, and serious one. I mean, they shut down, I think it was as many as 59 apps. I don't know if all of them were ByteDance's apps. Um, but it was an enormously serious loss of subscribers and usage for ByteDance and TikTok. By the way, there are Indian competitors that do somewhat similar work. There's I think, a very interesting upstart company here in the U.S. called Triller that comes out of the hip-hop community that's had an enormous upsurge of usage and subscribers, from this move, basically. So I think, as you mentioned earlier, Australia is looking at this as well. So I think it is there's some very potential serious abilities for change there if these shutdowns continue, or if there isn't some balance that some of these governments find between how to accommodate TikTok or not, basically.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Seth Schachner there, Digital Business Executive and Managing Director at Strat Americas.